Okay, so if you're showing up to the gym and you're not getting results, this is what is missing from you getting stronger and getting in shape. Now, if you're going to the gym 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, I don't want to take away from you the fact that you are putting that effort in. That is awesome. And that is one of the steps that so many people don't even make. If you are pitching up consistently, you are over halfway there. However, if you're not getting the results that you want, you are likely treating it as a tick box exercise. And what I mean by that is you are going, you are getting it done, and it's, it's tick. That's that for the day. And I'm doing my workouts and that's enough. The problem is it isn't enough because you're possibly not really thinking about what you're doing. You're not really present with the movement. You might not be tracking your weights. You might not even be doing the same thing each time you go. You might be mixing it up. And you're also likely stopping when you hit the rep range, the end of the rep range, and not actually stopping when you're done. The game will change for you when you start setting some goals around your gym performance. What does that mean? It means having a clear idea of what you want to achieve overall in the gym from your training sessions. No matter where you are in your journey, you can do this. So for me, when I first started training, I wanted to get a bodyweight push-up. I wanted to be able to do push-ups. For me, it was and it still is a sign of strength. Along the journey, I wanted to be able to do pull-ups. To get a pull-up, then it was to get 5 pull-ups, and now it's to get sets of 10. I wanted to be able to squat my body weight, then it was to squat 100 kilos, then it was to squat over 100 kilos. I wanted to deadlift my body weight, and then it was 100 kilos, and then it was twice my body weight. I've always been setting these goals for myself. And what it does is it pushes you in the session. It gets you thinking beyond just, I need to do this because, we know we should be exercising and we know we should be strength training. And you will get a level of result and a level of strength from just pitching up and doing the thing. But if you want the next level results, you have to do this. You have to think about what it is you want to start working towards, because you don't know what you're aiming for. Like, a really good one for me was, I was doing Bulgarian split squats. This was only a couple of years ago. And, we set limitations of what we think we can do. It's like the dumbbells look really quite heavy, they're getting bigger and bigger. And I thought, well, why not? Why can't I dumbbell split squat the 40 kilo dumbbells? And once you get it in your head, it's like, that's what I'm going to work towards. Every time you go in and do that exercise, you're pushing for that. That is the focus. You're like, well, I'm going to try the next lot of dumbbells. I'm going to try and get another rep at this. I'm going to try and get lower with this weight. And it changes the game. And it's one of the reasons why I will always say that even if you've got aesthetic goals, set performance goals as well. Because, yes, you don't see performance increases session on session, just like you don't see the aesthetic results session on session, but you see more changes session to session with performance-based stuff. Because if you think, well, last week I only got 5 reps at this, and this week I've managed to get 6 reps, or I've actually gone up a weight, or my form's actually better, you can see the progress quicker. And that is why it's key. And this is why it's really important to have a solid structured plan, so that you know what you're doing week in, week out when you go. It's why it's really important to track your lifts, so that you know what you lifted last week, what you're going to be working towards this week or over the next few weeks. You can start to plan, and you can start to think about, am I actually pushing and progressing myself enough to see the changes that I want to see? And you also start to get a little bit competitive with yourself. Because when you know, it's like, oh, I want to be able to use those dumbbells, or I want to be able to squat my body weight or 100 kilos, you start to challenge yourself in a different way. You don't just stop when you get to the end of the rep range. You start to see, okay, what am I capable of? And that is the mindset that you want to be in if you want to see real progress in your strength and in your physique development. It worked wonders for me because when I first started training with my mate, who was a guy, he would have the attitude of, oh, give it a go. Yeah, you'll be able to do that. Give that a go. So I got into the habit of, well, I'm just going to try. And if I fail, I fail. And I think as women in particular, we really struggle with that initially. We struggle with what it means to fail in the gym. And I think because it's such an intimidating place anyway, and we have all these insecurities about how we look and what we're doing, that then the thought of trying something and failing is a bit, oh. But actually that's one of the best ways to start testing yourself. That's when you know you are pushing yourself and you start to think, okay, well, is what I've been doing enough? Or have I just been coasting? And don't get me wrong, there are going to be sessions where you will coast. There will be sessions that will be half-arsed. That is part of the process. Not every single session's going to be absolutely bob on. But if you have that mindset and you're working towards things, then more of your sessions are going to feel effective. And then it's the sense of accomplishment when you achieve that. I remember the day that I got my first pull-up. I remember it so clearly because it was something that I really wanted to achieve. I remember when I squatted 100 kilos and didn't bail at the bottom, how that felt. And it's what keeps you in the game. If you just have an aesthetic goal and you're solely going to the gym because you want to look a certain way, well, if you do end up reaching that goal, then it either becomes something where you're thinking, I can't lose this, so you're just going out of fear, and I've been there, or there's no point anymore. And that's why also people will reach a goal and then they'll slide back to what they did before because nothing's keeping them there. And this is why I think it is so important to set some performance goals, because it will keep you showing up day in, day out, week in, week out, because you're working for that. I want to get that pull-up. I want to get that push-up. I want to be able to bench those dumbbells. I want to be able to Bulgarian split squat those dumbbells. So if you're not getting in the shape that you want, or you're not building the strength that you want, this is probably the missing piece.